Get ready for an unfair advantage over your competition. This is the Sales Edge podcast, where globally recognized sales expert and trainer Joe Peachy helps you sharpen your skills for booking more appointments and closing more deals. And now, here's your host, Joe Peachy.
Welcome back, team. This is Joe Peachy of the Sales Edge. This is Sales Edge podcast number 52. And we got a lot to go over. We're fired up about this. This is a special edition. This is part 2 of working with a partner. And today we're going to highlight working with a spouse as a partner. We are sponsored by Peachy & Peachy, a consulting, speaking, coaching company, training company that helps companies and individuals take what they do to the next level. Should you have any concerns to disagreements, want us to speak on something specific, just want to have a cup of Joe, you can call me at 407-947-2590 or send any questions to Joe at PICIANDPICI.com. Let's get started. This is the part of the power of partnership involving your spouse. You know, Dawn and I have been together 47 years. We've been in business for 27 years. We started in business in 1992, and we're still together. You know, it's not everybody wants to or will ever work with a spouse. And it doesn't mean you're not a good person. It certainly doesn't mean your marriage is in trouble. You know, today we're going to give you some tips, some coaching points on how you can make a successful partnership with your spouse. I'm going to turn this over to my partner, my spouse, and she's dynamic, and she is one of the key reasons why this partnership works. Dawn, take it away.
Thanks so much, Joe. You know, it's funny. I feel like I need to roll back the clock a little bit and tell you what it was like when we first got into business. It's interesting because Joe and I were from very different backgrounds, and we also had very different disciplines. He was a football coach, and I sang opera. We had nothing in common in our marriage as far as our careers. Our friends were not the same friends. We didn't associate with the same people. We didn't go to the same places. We had very separate lives, and that really bothered us because we got married to be together, and yet our interests were so different that it made it very difficult for us to have a conversation across the dinner table. And one of the things that we wanted was to spend more time together. And one of the benefits that I believe that we have drawn out, and I want to talk about some of the benefits of working together, and I'm talking about building a business together, is the fact that you do get to spend more time together. Now, in the beginning, that wasn't necessarily a positive thing because Joe and I are both very strong personalities. We had worked separately from each other for years. We were used to being independent. When we started building a business together, he thought it should go one way, thought it should go another way, and the truth be told, neither one of us knew a thing about business. We were at the peak of our ignorance when it came to business. And yet both of us, we both knew that what we thought was right, you know. So we clashed from time to time. But we were determined and we were committed not only to each other, but to building that business. And we were going to do whatever it took. So it did take some time. It took some time to get things working smoothly. But here's some of the benefits. Aside from the fact that we get to spend more time together, we get to, because we work together, we have our own business, we get to pick when we get to go to be and be together. We get to adjust our time off together, which is great. And Joe and I have a little tradition, and I really believe you do need to spend some time away from the office. And that's hard for us because our offices are in our home, but you need to spend some time away being able to talk about something else. And we have a little restaurant here in Orlando called San Jose's. I highly recommend it. It's great. But we tend to go there on a Saturday for lunch. And we get to talk about other things. We talk about the grandchildren. We talk about the kids. We talk about the weather. We talk about all kinds of things. And we don't talk about business. And we get to schedule that because it's our business. Another thing that happens, and I think it really makes a relationship sweet, and that is we get to grow professionally together. We didn't know anything about business. We gradually learned about business. I mean, I can remember many times Joe saying, Dawn, I want you to read this chapter in this book. This is really, really good. And I could read it. And then the two of us would discuss it. And we were planning together. We were learning together. We were growing together. And that has been a powerful thing. Another thing is that we learned how to dream big together. Before we were in business together, he had his dreams, I had my dreams. We both had separate dreams. But what has happened is as we pulled together, we started to have the same dreams, the same goals. And we were going after them together. Number 5, this is a good one. We learned how to listen to each other's ideas. See, when we sat at the dinner table before, I was talking about music, he was talking about football, you kind of can tune your spouse out after a while. It didn't mean I didn't love him, but you can kind of do that. But now I have to listen to his ideas. He has to listen to mine because we need each other to make this thing work. And so we validate each other. And validating another human being is the greatest thing you can do. And it is the most important thing you can do for another person, validating them. And we validate each other. And along with that, my next point is you get to be each other's cheerleaders. And I don't know, I hope that I'm as good of a cheerleader for Joe as he is for me, but he is so good to me as far as if there's a down day, a busy day, something went wrong, what have you. He is always there to pick me up and say, come on, Dawn, we can do this. I mean, he's just really encouraging to me. It's wonderful. And we collaborate together. We now can collaborate together very easily. And in that collaboration process is part of that building each other up. From time to time, one of us makes a mistake. I know I make mistakes. Joe's pretty perfect, but I make mistakes from time to time. And, being able to not focus on the mistake, but say, hey, we all make mistakes. Let's just fix it and move on. I mean, that's part of that collaboration. Number 8, I think the next point is really important when you're building a business. When you're in business for yourself and you're by yourself, you have to do everything. You have to come up with all the ideas. You have to do all the selling. You have to do all the marketing. You have to do the product development. I mean, all these different things ride on your shoulders. When you have your spouse or significant other with you, what happens is opposites attract. Okay, that's just a rule of thumb, which means that there's things that I'm good at that Joe is not as strong doing, and there's things that Joe is incredibly good at that I'm not as strong in. And we don't have to depend solely on ourselves. We have each other, and we have each other's what I call intellectual property. So there's things that Joe does. He's the best at sales. He's the best at getting appointments, closing deals. We needed more leads, so I became very good at doing LinkedIn. And together, we're a dynamic team. I can find the leads, he can follow them up, but also it gives us more areas that we can train in, more products to offer our clients, so that basically we have, it expands our business. So we learn how to operate in our strength rather than having to have the whole world on either one of our shoulders trying to make it work. So there's so many benefits. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you being in business with your spouse. However, there's a couple of situations that I think are red lights for why you shouldn't work with your spouse. Do not try to build a business with your spouse if your marriage is already in trouble. If that relationship is in trouble, it is not the time to put on the pressure of building a business. It's like some people think that if we have a child, that'll hold the marriage together. It doesn't help. It just adds an extra stress onto that already overly stressed relationship. So I don't recommend that. And the second thing is to not add your spouse to your business if your business starts to struggle, just because your business is struggling, unless your spouse happens to be an expert in the area that you need help in. But to have a struggling business, a business that is starting to redline, and then pulling your spouse into that, kind of putting it on their shoulders to try to make it work, I think is putting undue stress, again, on the relationship. So with that, let me talk about some of the challenges. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't talk about some of the challenges Joe and I have faced being a husband and wife team building a business. First one is unclear roles. Unclear roles. When Joe and I first got into business, like I said, we didn't know anything about business. We really didn't know what it took to build a business. We didn't know what we were good at, what we weren't good at. We just tried to stumble our way through. But once you gain that insight as to what his strength is, what my strength is, then we could have specific roles within the business and what your roles in the home are going to be. Because if you're going to come back home, like us, our offices are in our home, we're always here. So in the house, what do? Well, Joe and I have figured this out over the years. What works for us is who's ever not busy cooks dinner. Who's ever got enough energy after dinner to clean up, cleans up. Whoever sees that some wash needs to be done, throws it in the washer. We really try to complement each other. We don't try to compete. We try to complete. And we do that in our home. One of the second things you have to be aware of is to not bring the business stress into your personal life. It's important to have a separate life outside of your business and to not bring the stress that you might be experiencing business into your personal lives. And that's a tough line to draw. That takes a lot of practice, but you'll eventually learn how to do that. Number 3 is priority and time management. This all fits into roles and what I'm going to do, what you're going to do, how long it's going to take. So if that takes a lot of time, then I can't do this in the house, things like that. Priority and time management is a skill that both of you want to embrace. And finally, behavioral differences. Some individuals are more task-oriented while others are more people-oriented. Task-oriented people have lists. People-oriented individuals think more relationships and caring and sharing. Now, I'm a very people-oriented individual. Joe is very task-oriented. Let me show you how this shakes out. Joe will make a list of things I have to do. I don't like lists, okay? I don't like them. And I can't get all miffed over the fact that he's handing me a list and, oh no, there's deadlines and it's numbered and I have to check this off. I can't see that as pressure. It's simply the way Joe does business. It's the way his brain works. On the other hand, when I get that list and I don't do things in the exact order that he suggested simply because I'm seeing it from a different perspective, I'm seeing it from a more relational perspective, he's very patient with me over that. The fact that I'm going to get it done, but I'm going to do it at my pace. And so that's some of the challenges. And Joe, I think one of the things that you're really, really good at is how you treat me as a business partner and as a wife. Would you go into that?
Well, I think we have to understand that our spouse is our spouse first. And as task-oriented as I am, I never forget that Dawn is my wife and she will be treated as my wife. In our business, I have assumed the role of handling all the conflict. Dawn doesn't like conflict. I will protect her. In your business, one of you probably doesn't like conflict. One of you doesn't mind. I treat my Dawn like my best client. She'll always be my wife first. The next one is understanding each other's needs. Everybody has needs. It is important that you become a professional at learning behavioral needs, because when needs are not met, conflict arises, and therein lies partnership breakups. But the ramification of a partnership breakup with a spouse can result in a marriage breakup. That's not what we advocate here. At the end of the day, my marriage is more important than my business. Okay? And so I keep that priority. Now, let's move forward because you know me and non-negotiables. I've created a list of non-negotiables to be successful in building a business with your spouse. Number one, you have got to learn and master the communications models. And I don't care if it's DISC, Myers-Briggs, whatever. And I'm not talking about going to a seminar, sitting through it, and rolling your eyes. I'm talking about mastering communication styles because that's one of the chief reasons why we're still in business and we're still married. Okay? The majority of people, when it comes to communication styles, make enough. It's dangerous. They think they have it. And so they abuse people without abusing them. Well, abuse a regular partner and they just go home. Abuse your spouse partner and you live with it. Now let's move down. Maintain professionalism. Look, you've got to be professional. And that's a big part of, even though you're working with your spouse, when we are in the game, when we are in business, not having lunch on Saturday, when I'm in town, I'm not out of town, we're having lunch together on Saturday, and we're going to try to catch up the grandkids. But I'll tell you, if we're talking business, we got our pads out, and we're running a professional meeting. Number three, I think we have to really identify each other's strengths. I know my strengths, but I also know Dawn's strength. And Dawn knows my strength. You're a team, and a team throws their strength. I'm not going to ask Dawn to do something and set her up for failure. I'm going to ask her to do something in her strength. Even though she doesn't like lists, she gets through them better than anybody I know. Okay? Now, the next one is, as she said this, we never compete. We are going to be the best we can be for the client. Whichever one of us best executes something, there's no competition here. When Dawn and I speak together on a keynote stage, we don't say, well, I need the same amount of time. We go out there, we're organized, and if Dawn takes a little bit more time, I'll take less time. If I take more time, she takes less time. It's not about us. It's about serving the client and each other. Be a great listener. We have a tremendous teaching on the art and skill of listening, and I recommend that until you're a great listener, you will never be a great partner. I think you have to have mutual respect. There's no one I respect in this world more than Dawn. I mean, I don't care that she's people-oriented. She gets more done. I respect her commitment to not only our business, to our personal lives, to our grandchildren. Without respect, a business is going to crumble, folks. I don't care who it's with. Share the duties, just like she said about home and that. In that, I will tell you, every project we have should have a project manager. In our business, I am the project manager. I'm task-oriented. I manage our projects. That doesn't mean what she does is not important. We got a 3-day speaker boot camp coming up, and we'll train and speak the exact amount of time and what she'll bring on branding and developing content and different types of presentation, and I can go on and on and on. But I have to manage the project. I have to manage the contracts with the hotel. And so we have to make sure somebody is a project manager. Avoid power struggles. I have seen this destroy. In fact, I watched a couple on video the other day, and they're famous, and they interrupted each other. I counted 10 times, and each time they interrupted each other, they glared at each other. And they were talking about relationships. And, Dawn and I are not going to have power struggles. And I think part of that comes with wisdom and learning and growing. Don't take disappointments or disagreements personally, and that's hard. Because Dawn's people-oriented, she can internalize a disappointment or a disagreement. So me, as a project manager, I have to be aware of that and be very careful how I phrase things. Now, I want to give you a little checklist here, kind of action plan. I will also tell you this before I get into this action plan. When we first started in business, my planning sessions were 80 miles an hour by myself on the highway. And I thought Dawn somehow was on the same page I was. And it was not really pretty. But when I slowed down and we started having organized meetings with our pads, and I slowed down, it's amazing how many mistakes we didn't make anymore. Oh, let me say something else. Some of the greatest ideas that come from Peachy and Peachy come from Dawn. As you know, we're kicking off twice a month a new series on giants of transition, where we're going to take people on the street, the everyday people, the Joe and Dawn Peachies, the just regular people that are fighting to get to next level. And we're going to interview them on the transition they're making. I've run this by some of our coaching clients. They're ecstatic, and they go, boy, Joe, that's a great idea. It wasn't mine. You see, that was Dawn's idea. Dawn is the creativity in our business. And for me not to listen, you would suffer. So here's action steps. Number one, create your business with vision and a mission. In other words, I don't have time to go into it, but you have to know what you want. You have to know when you want it. You have to know why you want it. That's clear. The second thing is define your partner's expectation. What are they expecting? Okay? I have to know what Dawn expects. Dawn expects a full boot camp. I know that. Now, she's not going to be mad if we don't, but she's ecstatic when it is. And we're all sold out. We're fired up. But an expectation is when she walks into the speaker boot camp, there's people there. Define each other's skills, but know what they are. I mean, when I need something, content written, a PowerPoint, something creative, I know that's Dawn's strength. Now, here's a big one. Deal with all conflict, frustration, and disappointment now. Don't let it fester. When I sense any type of conflict, frustration, or disappointment with my partner, I'm going to go in to resolve it now. We're going to talk it out now. Not wait. Create accountability. But I'm not talking about hard-nosed accountability. Have accountability, and accountability is best served through timelines. So hopefully this has given you some content. I know this is a massive topic. I am going to say this to you. Dawn and I do and will coach couples in business. We do no marriage counseling. We will not get in the middle of your heated arguments, okay? I don't have that compassionate gene there. I'm not a mediator. However, we do and will coach couples in transition, growing a business. Now take out your phone. Type in 55678. In the tagline, put Sales Edge, one word, send it. There's going to be a link. Hit it. That'll take you to a splash page. You'll see our pictures. Scroll down. There's some great free downloads, one on LinkedIn, one on sales. Keep going down. There's links to our podcasts. If you can do me a favor, if these podcasts have value to you, can you like them? Can you share them? Can you write a comment? But we are so thankful that you are supporting this podcast. We're growing every week. We're going to continue to put out 2 every week, every Tuesday, every Thursday. We want to be a value add to you in your journey. Have a great day, and we'll see you at podcast number 53.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. New episodes will air each Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star review. The Sales Edge is sponsored by Peachy & Peachy Incorporated, a firm which provides training, consulting, and keynote presentations, empowering corporations and individuals to attract and retain quality clients for higher revenues and growth. Make more money in sales. Speak with Joe in person by calling 407-947-2590 or visit www.peachyandpeachy.com. Spelled PICIAND, PICI.com.